Hey everybody, Alex here, out of the Park 21 Pittsburgh Pirates franchise, episode 9. It is June 4th, the start of the 2021 MLB draft. And what I want to do today is obviously do the draft. We'll do the first 10 rounds with you guys, then I'll do the rest off air and then come back and recap it for you guys. We will briefly look at what's happening with the Pirates. Unfortunately, it's a lot of bad news, and unfortunately, I'm realizing how bad of a GM, coach I am right now in the job that I'm doing, because we are really looking in rough shape in a lot of different ways. As you can tell, we are 25-37 on the season. The same issues we had in the last video certainly plague us now with the offense. It might have gotten a little bit better, but when I say a little, I do mean an absolute little bit. You see some of these games here, 0 runs against Washington, 4-2, had a decent stretch against the Dodgers, but still, you can see the schedule here. Real tough stretch against the NL Central, against St. Louis and Milwaukee, where it's just hard to push across runs. And on top of all that, the injuries have only hurt us all the more. I've got a lot of them, unfortunately. I talked about Jameson Taillon and Brian Reynolds, I believe, in the last video. Since then, David Bednar, a reliever, I called him up in his first appearance. He gets hurt. He was out 7 weeks, I believe, now out 5. Chris Archer was a tough blow. Hopefully he'll come back before the trade deadline. I think he will, so I can probably trade him by then. But if there's a setback or anything, he's really going to be up against the timetable to be able to deal him. And then Josh Bell missed a couple of, he got put on the 10 days, so he missed about a week or so with a back injury. I think he's healthy now, but he was a borderline guy where I really couldn't have him on the bench, not usable for several days, so he's on the DL. I won't go through every single player individually. I'll just pull up here the stats. You guys can pause at any time if you would like. There's really been no significant change with any one player, good or bad. Trace Barrera's doing a nice job at catcher. We did call up O'Neal Cruz, one of our better prospects, just in place of Josh Bell. He'll get sent back down once Bell comes off the injured list. In 5 games, Cruz is hitting a $150 with 1 home run and 9 strikeouts. So there's still quite a bit of development in his game. He's clearly not ready yet, but I did want to give him a taste of the majors because he was doing well in AAA, hitting .278 with 4 home runs, .352 on base percentage. So I wanted to at least kind of see where he was at in his first taste of the majors. Elsewhere, again, it's been pretty much standard and status quo, I should say, which is not good for a team that's struggling this much. Again, offense has been a big issue in terms of the pitching staff. Obviously, some of the injuries started to take a toll. We had to shift Michael Wacha. He got called up last episode. He's now in the pen in long relief because he just was not cutting it as a starter. ERA of 6.5 in 7 appearances, 6 starts. So Chad Kuhl will come back into the rotation. Cody Bolton was called up, another one of our better prospects, a top 100 guy, number 95 here, according to, I believe that's Baseball News Network or whatever scouting service judges prospects in this game. 2 starts only so far, so it's a very small sample size, but neither outcome was particularly impressive. Better against the Cardinals than he was most recently against the Orioles. Nick Birdie's gotten touched up. Nebraska's ERA is coming back up to a level that I thought it would based on what happened last year. He was not going to be able to hold that all-star performance. Meir Garrett is struggling a lot. Brault's doing okay. Creaky's doing okay. Brubaker's here, though I'm trying to get rid of him probably sooner rather than later. He's regressing pretty heavily. Scouring the waiver wire for maybe any sort of outfield help. But yeah, a lot of injuries, including some of our prospects. I do want to look briefly at some of our prospects, draft picks I really should say from last year, and we'll look at them again because some of them aren't even playing right now. First round pick from 2020, Jimmy Glowacki. There's been a lot of injuries with him in his short major league career so far, professional baseball career, I guess I should say. He was doing okay in A-ball with Greensboro. 10 home runs were nice. The average of 230 was not, but he is getting better positionally, but he's out a couple more weeks with a calf strain. So he's already got the calf strain, which doesn't even show up on here yet, recurring back spasms last year, an elbow contusion, a sore shoulder, all that happened last year. You got the calf strain this year. So his injury proneness is still normal, and thank goodness for that, but I'm getting worried about that injury proneness going forward because you got a lot of injuries. Nothing super severe, but frustrating enough. Stevens and Davis have yet to play yet. Andrew Abbott and high A-ball Bradenton not doing too well. Their ERA north of 7 in 10 starts, but he's 22 and he's got to either work through this. And there were couple more promising outings. This past one obviously bumped that ERA up again, but I do want to try to let him work through it because he's 22 and high A ball. That's not unreasonable to play him there. Justin Fall in a similar boat had a really rough outing. His last game on the second, ERA about 6.5. So A couple of pitchers struggling. Hopefully for this draft, which we're about to start, we will be looking probably outfield and starting pitcher heavy. We don't really have a lot of good prospects at either. We have Travis Swaggerty, who's still injured in AAA right now, but beyond that, not really liking the group too much. A couple other guys I'll look through here briefly, some guys that are playing this season so far. Joe Boyle and Bradenton, high A, not going too well for him, ERA of 17. Is striking out, not even striking guys out, so it's been pretty bad across the board for Joe Boyle. We do have one of our more promising prospect, potential gem here in Will Klein, doing well in a ball with Greensboro, ERA of 2.5, struck out 34 in 18 innings, that's a 17 Ks over 9, so excited about his future. The scouting report is really encouraging on him. So let me look here briefly at the overall standings. We'll go through stats and stuff more next time, but just so those that are interested in checking out Major League Baseball, what's happening around the world. You can see the standings here with Tampa Bay, Boston, a pretty close race in the East. Cleveland over Minnesota in the Central. Houston and the Angels tied in the West. Here are the wild card standings. Kansas City, worst team in baseball, I believe at 18 and 45, though, hey, we are not too far off from that, unfortunately. In the East, Atlanta over Washington. The Cardinals, current NL Central leaders, 3.5 up on Milwaukee. And the Dodgers with a pretty healthy lead over the Padres. Check out the wild card, and we are much closer to the bottom than the top 2 and 8 in our last 10 games. So I want to go to the draft pool now and give a quick preview of that, and then get into the draft itself. Here is the draft order for 2021. The Giants will be picking first, followed by the Marlins, Blue Jays, Marlins again. Not quite sure how that happens, but okay. I guess maybe some sort of pick from last year, an unsigned player perhaps. I have picked trade and turned off, but so be it. And the Rangers at 5. The Pittsburgh Pirates will be selecting 16th with a projected slot at $4 million, which scares me because our draft budget I've reduced to about $5.5 million total for the entire draft. So we're going to have to do the old classic Pirates cheap out likely and look for guys below slot. In the OSA mock draft, they have the San Francisco Giants projected to take shortstop Norman Burbridge, who looks like a really strong shortstop prospect. Very good defensively with good power and discipline, 21 years old. And he's also got high adaptability, high work ethic, and a whole lot of speed. So it looks like a pretty good prospect there. I will say is that, as a quick sidebar out of the park, it's kind of struggled with this draft class. There were a lot of issues early on where they've had to pat stuff because the class wasn't imported correctly. Then there were issues about too many starting pitchers being taken, which still, at least according to the mock draft here, looks like the case. I am updated to the last beta patch at least, and it's supposed to take care of some of these problems. We'll see how things go. But it also kind of had me early on because this class looked really terrible at the top before some of these recent patches where I just really wasn't scouring the class that heavily because it just looked terrible and it just kind of felt like you weren't going to get good players out of it. So they've changed that now, and I kind of have been trying to catch up in terms of me trying to scout this class, and I have not done as good of a job as they did last year, for example. But for Pittsburgh, we are projected to take an outfielder, which position I think we do need. Chris Abram, 19-year-old center fielder, does look pretty attractive. $650,000 bonus domain, which would work for me again, given our current draft budget restraints. High leader, low adaptability, but good speed. Again, good power. The eye discipline is nice. Only 19 years old. Those are pretty good numbers there. Again, I have not scouted these guys as closely as I have in the past because I got late to the process when the new patches changed. But although the position ratings are poor, he's flexible and he's got good range, so you could really expect those numbers to come up pretty heavily. And I think he could actually be an everyday center fielder at his ceiling. So that is the draft order. Let's look at the top guys here briefly. Let me scroll up to the top here. According to my scout, at least, we have a couple relievers. Yeah, again, very pitcher heavy. I'm on pitchers. Okay, so that might explain that. Let's go all players. But again, still pretty pitcher heavy overall. I don't know if we're going to get any of these guys. Burbridge is only a 60, but projected to go first overall. I think OSA has him higher. Yeah, much higher at a 75. Again, it's harder to trust my scout this year. Unfortunately, we may make a change at scout, trainer, and a whole lot of other personnel based on how this season has gone. So let's just jump right into the draft here, and we'll see what the Giants do, then we'll sim to our pick. Alright, here at the 2021 MLB Draft, we will just go pick by pick to start to see the top 5, and then we'll go to Pittsburgh Auto Draft, and then kind of go back, and we'll figure it out. But let's see what the Giants do at number 1, and they do take Norman Burbridge, the shortstop, 21 years old, out of Mississippi State. So the man from Starkville will go to the Giants. Let's see what Miami does at 2. they're going to go with Pat Hickman. So a couple of shortstops to start. So maybe that's a good sign that it won't be as pitcher heavy in terms of the draft class as some people that I've seen on the forums have indicated. Toronto at 3. They're going to go with the first pitcher off the board, Mario Holguin. Really looking like he could be something in terms of a starter. Will that changeup develop? That's always been the issue that I found, at least, in Out of the Park. Miami again. Joey Deagle, I think one of our highest rated guys that our scout had. Again, will that changeup develop is going to be the question with him, but he is 19, and there's a lot of time to grow, and he's durable as well. And let's look at number 5 with the Texas Rangers. They're going to go with the pitcher, so 3 straight pitchers off the board with Joe White. All right, let's go ahead and auto-draft to Pittsburgh, and then we'll go back, look at the draft order, and then see who's available for us, and I'll hit and haul around to make my pick at number 16. Alright, here is the top 15 of the 2021 MLB draft, and actually it's a nice job here. There are a lot of pitchers, but it's pretty, there's a good mix of batters and pitchers, so it seems to be like OOTP on that latest patch has fixed that. So if you are playing your own series, you're in 2021, download the public beta patch. It's going to go full, I guess you could say, on Monday. I believe I'm recording this video on Saturday right now, so it seems like it's fixing a lot of the issues. Anyway, more importantly, pitchers here, or the selections here. Pitcher Danny Courtney goes 6. Sermon goes to Seattle at 7. Zach McGee, the third baseman. And I'll just go ahead and click through these guys so you can see who the top players are. And honestly, I'm not even totally familiar, like I said, because of some of the patches and things. Milwaukee's doing really well this year. Gets a good center field prospect in Joey Jones. Yeah, I feel like I'm not as equipped for this draft class, and so we'll have to kind of probably take some more educated guesses, more than the usual educated guesses that we make. Wow, Chris Askelin, a third. I mean, there's a lot of work to do defensively, but those are some really impressive. He's only 17 years old, too, so I don't know what he's asking for money-wise. I'm not going to pay attention to that right now. Try to move things along in the video. And then right before us, the Chicago Cubs took Mike Ashley, 18-year-old shortstop. So we're on the clock here. Let's see, where do I want to go? Let's first start with our scouting director. He's probably going to recommend Abram, the center fielder, if I had to guess. He will. Abram certainly looks decent. The avoid Ks is a little low, and that's not great on my Moneyball theme, but hey, my Moneyball theme hasn't worked well for this team so far. I did scout him back on May 14th, but he's already at a low accuracy level. So let's look around just to, in due diligence, check out the rest of the pool here. And again, my goal is outfielder or starting pitcher. Is kind of where my head is at right now. We do have Kevin Eason. He's 22. He wants $250,000. That's an option in the outfield. A little bit older. I'd like to go with somebody a little bit younger. It's kind of my philosophy. And Abram at 19 probably looks better in that regard. But again, contact, the gap, the avoid Ks. I don't like the ceiling on all those. OSA is fairly similar, a little more optimistic in terms of those numbers, and did it with the home run power. But that has me a big concern. Not going to lie about that. Other outfielders. Huggins and Wright, I'm always checking the bonus first, because if it's too high, then we're just going to move on here and not worry about it. He's probably not going to be an option. Pat Martino looks really good defensively, but 22. Don't think the bat's going to be strong enough to go in the first round. Maybe if he's there in the second round, I strongly consider that. Alright, so Abram and Huggins have the top overall potential, according to OSA. According to our scout, though, I wish it was a little easier to know which ones I was looking at here. Again, the things I value, avoid Ks, and, guys that just get on base. Contact, avoid Ks, those are really important to me. Nobody really sticking out in a big way to start. Again, Abram might be the guy. Let's check out some starting pitchers, though, because I think that's a better way to go about it, to start looking at some other positions, not get so hyper-focused on one spot. And again, we really need to replenish our just pitching prospect pool. Say that 3 times fast. So you got Dave West here, age 20. He's fragile, and he wants $4 million. And I don't deal with fragile players if I can really avoid it, unless I have some sort of compelling reason where the investment just isn't high. Jaden Barksdale looks good. He's durable, slot, but he's 22. He's already still got some development to go off of, and I just don't want to draft a 22-year-old. He's 22 and a half even, really, and I just don't think he's going to develop in time. So maybe if he's there a little bit later on. OSA likes him a lot. The control isn't great. Just probably if he was 20, we'll check out what Elijah Content here can look like, and profiles a little better, kind of very similar, but better and younger. And so that's really critical. So let me go through some of these names here, and I'll start narrowing down the options for you guys. Alright guys, it came down to Chris Abram, the center fielder, and Elijah Content, the starting pitcher patches. They call him where to go with Content for a couple reasons. One, the scouting accuracy is a little bit better on him. I love the high leader, work ethic, intelligence, low grade. I mean, that is, you can't get a better personality than that. And the little blurb here that he modeled himself after the best pitchers and emulates the best of their mechanics. That tells me he's got a chance to even break through that ceiling, which is already relatively high to begin with. No number here is terrible. The control is a little bit low, but it's got some upside, some room to grow. The changeup's underdeveloped. He's got a 4-pitch arsenal where I think even if it doesn't, and it probably won't, he's got the fastball, curveball, and slider. Again, given the leadership, work ethic, and intelligence especially, I think he can develop on those pitches. He's throwing nearly 100. He's a power pitcher, which I prefer. The stamina, the hold runners are good enough. The positional rating, though it doesn't matter a lot, is also adequate, and so I think this guy can grow quite a bit. OSA seems to really like him, so that helps just confirm that. He is going to cost more. He wants the slot, and again, the budget constraints concern me a little bit, so we're just going to draft him and then try to negotiate later. So hopefully I'll be able to get him for a little bit below slot, thinking 3.5 to 3.8 million is my goal here. So we're going to go with Elijah Patches Content. Make sure I don't, let me just draft the player so I don't hit anything that I don't want to hit here. And again, we did not draft that starting pitcher last year until like the 4th, 5th round. I think we paid a price for that. So I said I wanted to, really focus on starting pitching, and I think I can wait on outfielder, and so I'm going to go with Content, and then we'll go to our next pick here in the 2nd round, and I'll let you know what some of the options are. Alright, we're here in the 2nd round. Let's see what our scouting director, who is our scouting director, by the way? We don't give that guy a shout out too often. Joe Delacari. Let's see what he has to say. Anthony Huggins, who is a right fielder, and looking at outfield help. Let's go through some of the top outfielders, because that's kind of where my head is at in terms of guys that I want to target after going with a pitcher at the top of the draft in the 1st round. So we got Huggins, who's 18, wants slot. The power is certainly there, low intelligence though, and the range isn't great. That has me not in love with that idea. We got Doug Wacker at 18. The avoid case is really low work ethic. Not liking that either, unfortunately. He wants slot as well. I think this guy was fragile. Yeah, he's fragile. We're not going to go with him. Kurt Carabarlo. I can't say that. Everyone's got low intelligence. This outfield class really seems to have shriveled up here pretty quickly. Mike Fleming, center fielder, good avoid Ks. Again, everyone's really low with adaptability, so that's the guy to look at. He wants 220,000, so I'd rather get someone on the cheap here. The eye discipline is really low, sadly. We scouted him on the 17th. He is a JUCO sophomore at Iowa Western. If that eye discipline was just even 40, and with a potential of 50, I think he'd be the guy out of the gate. So I think Fleming is pretty high on the list, though, to start. Let me click through some other names here. Let's look at some other positions here in a moment. Not bad here for Hensley either, though the age of 22 and the slot demand is a little concerning. Chris Kerman in center field, high intelligence. Not bad numbers here. I think I looked at him pre-draft, and that's not terrible either, though. Another low adaptability, low work ethic guy. So apparently a class that dogs it. Let me go through some of the all-batters and just see what the best players available might be. Looks like it's Robbie Burt at short, who's got some really impressive numbers here. I guess he wants a lot of money. He wants slot. Yeah, it's probably going to be tough to sign him, although those numbers are impressive. Personality class is unfortunately unknown. I wish he was a little better as a defender, so I don't know about him. Catcher, Luke Davis. Pretty good stuff there. Wants slot as well. The bat, though, looks fairly limited. Garlinghouse at 3rd. That's not bad. 20 years old, 750K. That's a little below slot, so I'm not too mad about that. We don't have a great scouting report on him, unfortunately, and the dude's as slow as Bartolo Colon. Alright, let's look at starting pitchers here, and then I'll kind of, gather all that information and come up with a decision so I don't have to bore you guys or make this video, 10 hours long. Mike Worth, starting pitcher. Yeah, he's going to want too much money, so he's going to just be off the table for us as a high schooler. Dave Morden, we might have looked at him in our last pick. Not excited about a 22-year-old. That's fairly developed, but that changeup isn't, and that's going to probably eliminate Morden. A lot of guys we just have not scouted, and the confidence is going to be low, and that's going to become a fairly quick theme of this class. Like I said, I'm just late to addressing them after all the patches and didn't pay much attention early on. So let me go through some of the names here. I'll come up with a decision, let you guys know what direction we're going to go in round 2. Alright guys, here's where I'm at. I'm coming down with two names here. I'm going to go, I'm hesitant to say this, I'm going to go with Mike Fleming in center field, a center fielder, because the bonus demand is low. We got to go with somebody below slot after going basically slot before, again, given the whole cap situation. The one guy I really want, and I'm just going to type him in because it's going to be easier than trying to search him, is Mike Baker, but he wants slot, which isn't terrible. He's going to be hard to sign, so I probably can't get him below that. He's 18 years old, looks good as a starting pitcher on that alone, with high work ethic, high adaptability, but I'd also really like him as, what would he be, an outfielder as well. There's some really good numbers. There's a potential two-way guy or a starting pitcher. If he doesn't work, make him an outfielder, something like that. So fingers crossed that Mike Baker's there for our next pick. Our scout has him low. OSA has him relatively low. I think he can be there for the next round where he's going to be slot and a whole lot cheaper. So if he's not there, I think I've screwed this up pretty good. We will get a decent player here in Mike Fleming, wherever the heck he's at. I don't even know where he went. Let's find him, and then I'll put him in the draft slot, and that'll be the selection. Alright, so we're going to go with Mike Fleming, the outfielder. Going to go and meet that demand because that bonus demand is so low, and we're going to hope that Mike Baker is there. So cross our fingers, hope that he's still there. I'm not, we'll find out together here. I'll leave this part unedited. If I can find Mike Baker. No team. Was he drafted by anybody, though? I don't know for sure. Oh, I don't think it's been drafted by anybody. Okay, let's go ahead and try to look him up, because I had to sort it in reverse order before. Let's just see who our scouting director recommends. Still, Huggins is still there, actually. Alright, he was a 45 potential, Baker was. Okay, so still there. Slot is, his bonus demand is 1.7 million. I thought he was supposed to be just a slot guy. Okay, that could be an issue because he wanted slot. Oh no. 1.7 is probably going to tip the scales too much. It says he wanted just the slot though. That one's interesting. Well, I'm going to offer a slot to begin with and see if he still takes it. I know that the signing said it was going to be extremely hard to do it, and if we lose out, we will get that draft pick back, so it's not the end of the world, but I still think if I can stretch my budget a little bit, this might be the guy we take. So let's go ahead here, offer slot to Mike Baker, and we'll see how he reacts post-draft. Alright, so we've taken Mike Baker in the third round. We're going to go here, fourth round now. Again, we'll show the top 10 picks, and then I'll draft the rest of them offline, and then I'll come back and revisit the rest of the 20 guys that we took. Scouting director recommends Franklin Vasquez, we looked at earlier, who's got also some position two-way flexibility here, as just trying to figure out his best position is going to be an issue. I would say on that profile, probably a second baseman. I mean, ideally like first baseman, because the infield arm isn't great. The turnover play is relatively low, but the power isn't going to support that. He is pretty relatively cheap, $420,000. I don't know what the I can't see. Recommended slot is $450. Okay, so that's basically what he wants. So that's relatively in order. Let's see who else is available though. Let's just go look at the default. Highest potential is Chris Portman, a pitcher. These guys probably want too much money as high schoolers, and certainly Portman does at $3.4 million. Let's see, Robbie Morgan, 22 years old though. He also wants a little bit too much money. We've taken the pitchers to start at least. Anyone else that sticks out? Let's look at pitching ratings. Trying to go through this here. Let's look at pitching potential. Be better as quickly as possible, just to not let this video drag on. Maybe I'll make some edits here to speed up this process a little bit. Garrett Brakefield, low intelligence, 19. That's just really haven't scouted these guys, and that again is going to be the real issue that we run into. Let's see who else is available. No one else that probably really sticks out right now. Paul McDonald at 20, looking low intelligence. That is a running theme of this class, fortunately. Let's see some of the better. Robbie Burt is still there, but again, I think he's going to cost a lot of money to try to be able to sign, though I'm not 100% opposed to the idea. Luke Davis as a catcher. Says he's easy to be able to sign. That wouldn't be terrible. We just drafted a bunch of catchers last year, so it isn't a position of need. Although obviously in the draft, I'm just trying to find talent as opposed to really, need. You're just trying to get some guys with a chance to make it to the majors. If they do, then I think you've won, regardless of what your needs were at the time of the draft. Huggins is still there. I don't know how much he's going to cost though. Let me play around with some maybe the demands and budgetary concerns, which I'm not going to subject you guys to, and then I'll come back with my decision. Alright, went back and forth. We are going to go with what our scouting director recommends with Franklin Vasquez. One last look at him. We're going to use him just as a true and blue two-way player and see what he works better at. There are some concerns about the arsenal as a reliever. That he throws hard, 94 to 96 at 18 years old is fantastic, with really good stuff, movement, and control potential. You just, can that slider develop to be a really strong secondary pitch and complement the fastball? That will be the question with him, but good stamina, low greed, really good position rating. Like I said, in terms of his two-way status, probably going to start him as a second baseman because the infield arm doesn't matter quite as much. I wish that turn to play was a little bit higher to play him at second, and the range and error aren't great either, though there's potential for both those, I think, numbers to maybe go up over time, and plus he should be relatively cheap. So a bit of a tough decision there, but we're going to go with Franklin Vasquez, and recommended slot is $450,000. We'll go ahead and offer slot to him. Alright, so let's go on to round 5 and see what a scouting director recommends. Always a good, still have Mike Baker's name up there. Let's see what a scouting director recommends and go from there. He wants Eddie Paris, a third baseman with low work ethic and a cannon for an arm. Probably going to want too much money. Let's see here some of the best batters that are left. We've kind of gone fairly pitcher heavy to start. Luke Davis is still available at catcher. He was pretty cheap. I wouldn't mind going with him. Nothing wrong with trying to load up as many catchers as possible and seeing who sticks. We have Garlinghouse, and Huggins is still there. I think he's just probably going to go to college. He's committed to Clemson. It's probably going to be his path and become a Tiger. Garlinghouse. And let me go through the pitchers here briefly, and then I'll kind of probably make my own decision. We looked at Bradley as a reliever. He can be potential two-way, but there's no infield, position flexibility. There's some batting stats here, but where you're going to play him, he's not going to fit anywhere, so he's going to be a pitcher. Though those numbers aren't bad either. He's only 18, so I wouldn't dismiss that entirely right now. Chris Law, a closer. Extreme ground ball. I always like to focus on those guys, but 22 stats don't really jump off the page at you. How much better will he get? That's the question. Garrett Brake, we looked at earlier, is still on the board, but I'm probably not going to pull the trigger here in round 4. So let me just go over some names here, and I'll come back with who I decide to take. Alright, 5th round, bit of a tough call here between center fielder Chris Kerman, who's been on my radar for a while. I was about to go with him, then I came across Eric Hensley. He is almost 23 years old, which is the biggest point of concern here with low contact, but again, high adaptability, high work ethic. At the very least, I think he's going to be a very good defensive outfielder with great speed as well. Wish he could bunt for hit better, though. That's a little disappointing, but just a decent, maybe 4th outfielder, a defensive replacement if I don't have a good center field option across the board. So relatively cheap as well, so we're going to go with Eric Hensley and move on to the 6th round. And Chris Kerman is still there in round number 6. That's a surprise. Might have to go with that, though. I wanted to start focusing on infielders because I've been very pitcher, outfield happy to start. But that one, you take them both, and one of them is bound to work out, you think. Bermudez here, starting pitcher. Going to have to be a reliever because of that changeup, unfortunately, so it's not going to be him. Let me look at some infielders because we have not really given a lot of love to that position here to start. Steve Ferguson, the best guy still available. Decent across the board, but low work ethic, low adaptability, and the upside isn't so tantalizing. I do like Jose Medina here. The upside isn't crazy, but in good range, really good avoid Ks. I think he can become a decent bat option off the bench. Probably not in this round. I might want to wait one more round for him, though we'll still have to debate it. He is 22, and I want to go a little bit younger here because I like to have the draft class with more time to develop. Eddie Paris, our scouting director recommended last time. I'm not going to go with him, though, for a variety of reasons that are just very antithetical to my philosophy of baseball. So I think it's going to come down to Medina versus Kerman. OSA, just again, have not really scouted these guys. Scouted him on May 5th, and he's already at very low. I wish they maybe would adjust that a little bit. I scouted him less than a month ago, and my report is at a very low accuracy on that. How much it's really changed in a month for a 22-year-old. But anyway, that's a rant for another time. Let's see, center fielders. So we got Kerman. We have an average rating on with a potential of 45. Basically, just saying bench for both of these guys. Just the question is, do you think one of these guys will last until the next round? And if so, who is more likely to last until what would be the 7th round? I believe that's going to be the tricky part. I don't know. Well, you guys let me know in the comments who you would have gone with if you're still watching at this point here, Medina or Kerman. I'm gonna go. Oh, it's tough. That's a tough decision here. Give me a second, because I'm gonna clearly I need a second here to sort this out. All right, I'm gonna go with Kerman here. If Medina's still there in the next round, I'm gonna take him. But Kerman, I just think the bat's a little more substantial, and Medina, I mean, aside from the avoid Ks, the gap power, run power, eye discipline is low. His infield is decent, but it's not so good that I could find that player fairly easily in my minor league system. So I think Kerman's gonna be the right decision, and we will take him in round number 6. And Medina is still there around number 7, so it worked out. If I still want to take him, Scouting Director recommends the same guy as before, and we will say heck no to that. J.R. Bradley is still here. That's a bit of a surprise. Looked at him earlier as a potential pitching prospect of just 18 years old, so that's someone we should probably consider, though I do wonder what his demand might be. If he'll even sign for just a slot or not is, I think, a question right now. So these are the best players. Bradley Stevenson shows up on time with low intelligence. 18. That slider could be really good someday. Any hitting potential? The boy K's is phenomenal. Some weird numbers here on Joe Stevenson. Luke Davis, who I looked a little bit closer though, and I kind of soured on that. I know he's 18, but I don't think I'd take him as a catcher. Anthony Huggins is still there. Surprised my scouting director isn't recommending him constantly, because I think he came up earlier, but I'm not going to go with him. Doug Wacker, that guy had an unfortunate last name in high school. 18 years old, avoid Ks is low, same with adaptability and work ethic. Just probably not going to be good enough defensively either. Maybe a potential DH for some team. So I think it's coming down to Bradley and Medina. I know I said I would take Medina here, but I think Bradley might be too good to pass up if he'll sign for basically nothing slot-wise. 18 years old, I mean, could be a starter someday. The stuff's got to come up maybe a little bit, hit 50, but if he's a starter, he doesn't need the stuff as a reliever. A couple of pitchers that have a chance to develop with a forkball. Don't see a forkball too often with these guys, so a bit of a risk here. I mean, high school pitchers are always a bit of a risk here. He's a righty as well. If a lefty would have been another feather in his cap. Yeah, it can hit a little bit, but again, he was the guy where you didn't really have a spot for him. Those range ratings at infield and outfield are just simply too low. But I think we're going to go with Bradley here. I think Medina, a little more dime a dozen than maybe the pitcher here. And J.R. Bradley, and of course, he's a lot younger as well. Alright, so he's the pick there in round 7. Medina's still there, still on the board, so I've been making, I guess, some maybe good decisions. That's for you guys to decide. Here in round number 8, couple more rounds, and then we will go ahead and do the rest of it off camera, and then come back and revisit this class. John Adams here, 22 years old, does have high work ethic and low greed, but the movement is low. Not a fan of that at 22. He's 18. I might take the chance with high work ethic, but at 22, I don't like the odds of him hitting that breakout and breaking through the ceiling. I think this might be the time for Medina. Let me go look at some infielders here briefly. Medina, Ortez, extremely hard. Does have a good glove, but again, a lot of low work ethics and intelligent players. Eddie Paris, who I think we already kind of dismissed earlier, and that won't change here for at least a few more rounds. Izzy De La Fuente, it's an interesting name, 21 years old. Very good glove, good speed as well. 21. I want to go a little bit younger though, ideally, although I'll probably end up just taking Medina, and I'll sound like a total hypocrite for it. Low work ethic, low intelligence, the story of this class, because I have taken a lot of older prospects, which is, again, not totally jiving with my philosophy here, but I just can't find someone that I think has that potential. So I think last year was kind of more the underclassmen class, and this year it just seems to naturally be going more towards the older guys. So let's look at starting pitchers here quickly as well, just to kind of be thorough, because we don't have anyone jumping out to us in the infield. Bartlett's kind of interesting. I don't know if he's going to end up signing, though. I don't think we'll get anything for him at this point in the draft. 18 years old. He's a righty. Fastball, splitter, forkball combination. Committed to North Carolina. From Waterloo? Is that he's American? Does that sound like I'm Canadian? Maybe I'm oh, okay, Waterloo, Atwater, Ohio. Okay. Fair enough, I worked myself through that one. Guerrera, other starting pitcher. The changeup's not going to develop, though. We already know that. That's the way this game is programmed. BJ Moore, lefty, 18. Very low, but 4 really strong pitches, durable. He wants opponents to demand a 430,000. That's the only issue at this point. Probably not going to go with him just because of it. I'm going to cheap out here, unfortunately. This guy's fragile. Nope. Just going to get out of there as quickly as I came. Jay Christer's 23. I'm not going to draft a 23-year-old pitcher. Sorry, not going to do it at this point in the draft. All right, I think we may go pitcher next time, but I've looked at this guy enough here with Medina that I think I gotta take him. I think it'd be a crime if I've been so close to taking him time and time again that I don't this time. So we're gonna go with Jose Medina, the American from New Mexico State. All right, 9th round here. Let's see 2 more, and then I'll do the rest, like I said, off camera. Alan Spahn, and is any relation there to Warren? Some decent profiles. 18, the changeup is pretty low, unfortunately. It's extremely hard. I don't know if he's going to end up signing with us. He's committed to Missouri. Let's check out some of the starting pitching, though. See what's all still out there. Still have BJ Moore, who we did look at earlier. But again, he's the guy that had the bonus demand of 430K. Unfortunately, don't want to go with these guys. Their velocity's too low. Mike Cobb is 21. The changeup's not developed. Fortunately, I'm not liking the overall profile. Let's see. It might be Alan Spahn then. I might just listen to my scouting director here. Throws 95 to 97. The changeup again does need work, but I probably like that enough to take a flyer. Pretty lincecum size at 5'10", $170, but I think it's worth the risk, and we'll draft Alan Spahn. And finally, in the 10th round, to round things out for the moment, Jonathan Sprinkle, our reliever. Pretty, tailor-made reliever. 22 years old, fastball slider combination, movement's low, does throw some decent heat. Slot signing, he went to Central Missouri. Let's look at all batters, see if there's anyone else out there that might be better. Billy Lipp in the outfield, he wants slot, he can become complacent. That's not what we want to see. Ortiz is still here, Ortez I should say. At shortstop, good defensively. His potential there with his range, even though the position ratings are low, but cuts corners during workout. You're not gonna make your way to the majors that way. Olivia in center field. This one looks interesting. His bonus demand is just slot. Okay, I can work with this. High work ethic, decent range. And discipline. Avoid Ks are high. I probably should stop drafting these guys and look for some power, because you see the way this team's doing well. This team is doing this year with my Moneyball approach. Has not been really going so well. And Joe Coe, 17-year-old, one of the first to volunteer. Is he going to want to come to the majors, though, and be a professional? And does he want to commit to New Orleans? He can't play baseball in New Orleans. I'm sure I'll get some comments about that. Let's see, Coe, 5'11", 170 versus, who was the other guy we were looking at? Ortez? Was Ortez the other guy? No, that wasn't him. It was Avila. Juan Avila. At 6 foot 175, committed to Florida Atlantic. Who has the better offensive numbers? He's got 45, 45, 30 in terms of the first 3, and Joe Coe is 45, 60, 55. I think we're going to go with Joe Coe here and try to go with a little different approach. Not sure where he would play. Has he got any infield ratings? 55, the arm that was poor. He'd have to be a second baseman, not a particularly good one at that. Avila not looking any better in the outfield, unfortunately. But let's go with some power here. 17 years old as well, a little bit younger, a little more chance to develop and grow. Don't love this pick, but we're here in the 9th round, I think, or 10th round, not really. And so that's going to be the guy in the 10th round. I'll do the rest of the draft and come back with the rest of the 2021 Pittsburgh Pirates draft class. Alright guys, we have just finished the 2021 MLB draft. I want to go through the rest of the class here. We left off with the 10th round in Joe Coe. So we'll go through the rest of the guys really quickly here. In the 11th round, we took Juan Avila. I think we'd mentioned him before. Just high work ethic, high discipline, high avoid case. That's all very positive for us, so I like that pick in the 11th round. In the 12th round, went with a power first baseman, Nate Stone. Going to start in the Gulf Coast League for the Buccos, so just going with some power, a little different mindset here. 13th round, Mike Cobb as a pitcher, probably going to be a reliever because that changeup is low, but man, that changeup could ever develop. He's got a high work ethic for it to maybe maximize. 21 years old though, is less than ideal, just turned 21 3 days ago out of Salisbury, New York, but I like the attempt at least here in the mid rounds. I just lost my place, right? We had Mike Cobb. And let's go 14th round now with Billy Reynolds. We have Brian Reynolds and now Billy Reynolds as well. First baseman, just want to go with a couple guys with some power potential at least. So that was the idea there. They looking as a two-way? No, okay. For some reason I thought they were looking at him as a two-way. 15th round, Pat Fox. Really didn't draft a lot of shortstops. He's got good infield range, good avoid case, high work ethic. That was good enough for me, and just 19 years old. Dave Georgiakis, I guess is how we'll go it here. 22-year-old reliever, good fastball splitter, already very mature here for his age. High leader with good stuff, and the dude throws triple digits. So that was a good scouting director recommendation from our team's part. Kurt Schaefer in the 17th round, high avoid case, high intelligence, good contact. I kind of like this as maybe a sleeper pick here, just 20 years old is Kurt Schaefer. 18th round, Isaiah Evans, again, had done a lot of shortstops, very versatile, very Kiki Hernandez kind of dealer, play a lot of positions and play them well with high adaptability, high work ethic, a very running theme of my draft classes. I recommend that to you guys, especially in the later rounds. John Miller in 19th round at third, good eye discipline, good avoid case. Strong arm, double play though is poor, but does have high intelligence, and just 18 years old. 20th round, Bobby Harris, again, really going infield heavy as we kind of round out the draft, very similar as before. Discipline, avoid case, high intelligence, so that's just gonna throw as much at the wall as I can and see what sticks, and hope one of those guys develops and overperforms their projection. Another shortstop, many infielders in a row, Brandon Gonzalez, player's player, good leadership. Always good to have guys with good leadership, good catcher ability, good defensive skills for your minor league team. So if you have starting pitchers that need to develop, if you have a good defense behind them, a good locker room, and where guys don't hate each other, it will honestly improve your performance and their chances to develop. Jose Luna, starting pitcher. I'm not even sure if all these guys were signed. I have to check because I took a lot of guys that said they were hard signability or extremely hard, just going off the recommendation. So I will have to kind of check on who all I have to even negotiate with. I assume it'll be several players. Harrison Bethea, reliever, a little older at 23, fastball slider combination for him. So he throws pretty decent. It's hard to find good velocity in the later rounds. And then catcher, have a bunch of catchers back to back. Like I said earlier, you want to find catchers with good ability, good ratings, just help out your young pitching staff. And while he's a low intelligence kind of guy, he does have the good defensive ratings. That's all he ever is. He's just kind of someone for the pitchers to throw to, frame well, and develop. And I'm happy with that. Ditto here with Eli Earls, taken in the 25th round of the draft. He does have high work ethic, though, so I do like that. I think I went with one more. No, I didn't go with the catcher here. I went with right fielder Zach LaRue. Discipline, avoid case, high work ethic. Just, again, throw as many darts at the board as possible. There's the catcher, Sean Gillette. Again, decent ratings here. Can pitch a little bit, too. I don't think I'm going to make him a pitcher, though. 88, I just want him to focus on catcher in all likelihood. I'll deal with that, though, offline. 28th round, 3 more picks. Ben Malone at second base. Again, discipline, case, decent defensively. Low work ethic, unfortunately, but a high intelligence. Maybe that cancels things out. So, 28th round, what can you do? Plus, the dude was 18 years old, so a chance there. Paul Tillerstone. One thing I noticed, too, by the way, I think every player in the draft was American. I didn't have any other nationality. I don't know if that's a glitch or as intended or common for the draft. I never paid attention to before or what, but Paul Tillotson here, 23 years old, just a bullpen arm. He's never going to make it to the majors. And then a flyer here with Nate Lee, 18-year-old lefty pitcher, fly ball. Throwing 91 though at 18 years old is pretty impressive with a 4-pitch repertoire: the fastball, cutter, slider, and changeup. So that is the draft class. Let's see who we have to negotiate with. Okay, the list is actually not too bad. Okay, cool. So we have Content, who he wants $4 million. We're going to try to get a little below slot. We do have pending offers for Fleming, who wants, okay, so that'll go well. Baker's going to be interesting. I don't know how that's going to go. What's his greed like? I don't know his greed rating. If it was high or low, that might tell us, but he's probably going to be in negotiation for a bit of a dance there, and we should get Vasquez. So, okay, this actually turned out better than I thought. I thought there would be some later round guys that wouldn't want to sign right away, but they did, so good deal there. So we will obviously offer to all these guys. We'll be able to get Content. I'm not worried about that. Baker's the guy I do have some concern over, because as you can tell, we are fairly far apart. My offer is $620,000. He wants $1.7 million. I don't think I can give him $1.7 million, but maybe I can come up to $1 million and hope he takes it. Baker, does he have a greed rating? He does not either. Was I looking at that before? Was I looking at Contents? I don't remember at this point. I think I was looking at him again. Anyway, so as you can tell, the way the season has gone, it's been less than ideal. I will check back probably either right or around the trade deadline, at the trade deadline, with the moves I want to make. It is very much shaping up for us to be sellers. Let's, to close out the video, let's check out our salaries. Archer is going to be a free agent after this year, assuming he's able to get healthy and recover. We're going to deal him. Adam Frazier arbitration number is massive. I should have given Josh Bell an extension before he got on this hot streak. That's a miscalculation. Not liking what I'm doing there too much. I think I screwed that up. Yeah, that one's gonna hurt. Walker, Hamilton aren't gonna command anything in terms of the trade market, and that's really all of our trade pieces right now. So I think where we have finances, yeah, we are running low on money financially as well, but that's besides the point. What is Bell? Yeah, Bell's doing so well this year that I should have extended him early. I didn't have the foresight for that. I will